I was like, it didn't make the noise. Hi, Jay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Amber?
I'm good. Are you ready to talk about wands today?
I am. Are you?
Oh, yes. At least it's not the swords, you know?
Yes, at
A
least.
little bit more uplifting. Um, yeah, so thank you for
Yeah.
joining us. This is Tarot Chats where we sit and we talk about each card in the suit, major and minor arcana. You can check out the other videos for the other suits, and the major arcana will be coming soon as well. So let's just jump right into it. So first and foremost, we are going to be talking about the wands today. And the wands are all about personal development and growth. It's about career, health, wellness, kind of like that fire energy that is inside of us. And it's kind of universal and it's collective willpower. So wands, from a time standpoint, represent spring. They're events that happen very quickly, so things that happen in a matter of days. So if wands are showing up in your spread, you can take a little bit of comfort in knowing that these are situations or experiences that are going to pass by quickly. There's a very philosophical element to the wands as well, just with that fire element. The zodiac signs associated with fire: Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. It is the new moon. And some key words are passion, motivation, innovation, values, culture, creative development, work, career. But this is so it's working career, but in the sense of like what keeps you inspired, what keeps you motivated, what keeps you engaged in your job, as opposed to the financial aspect of your work or your career. Leadership, determination, and enthusiasm. So I always like to see a wand show up. To me, it's generally like a really positive influence in a spread. When you see the wands, what do you, just in generally, what do you think of, or what do you see?
Yeah, with the ones I usually typically think of decisions, travel, movement, um, some obstacles sometimes, but it's not as overwhelming as the swords are. With the as you've described it, with the fire and the wands, you can either have like a little tiny flame or you can have a raging out of control fire. So
Mhm.
I always have to um, gauge with whoever I'm reading for, like what level are we at here? Is this overwhelming fire or is this like a little tiny um, ember or like little tiny flame that you're
Mhm.
nurturing?
Yeah, is it sparking
Yeah,
something or is it burning
yeah,
something down, right?
yeah.
Like, awesome. All right. So let's just hop right in. So with our first card here, um, we're going to start with the ace. I always love the ace of wands because it, to me, really it looks like a magic wand, like and you can see the nod to spring with the little buds that are appearing, and the landscape in general, it looks very harmonious. There's like
Mhm.
a little castle in the background, and there's almost like this sense of like the journey home. I don't know why, when I just looking at this, just knowing what some of the other cards are, and it really brings us into kind of into those new beginnings, right? So let's see what I have for the ace. So with the ace, it's venture, opportunity, inspiration, a new project, urge to create. It's very much the magician and the alchemist energy. And it's also a card of like manifestation. Typically a really good omen when this card comes up. Mhm.
I was also going to say, as you were mentioning how the castle is in the distance, is that, when you go for like those wanders, like those little
Yes.
walks to clear your head and new ideas, new inspirations come up, having the castle in the distance, that's kind of like, when you go for like those little inspo walks.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So it almost and the castle, it kind of represents that ambition or that dream. Some people read the castle as like, like a castle in a fairy tale. It's really
Uh-huh.
this enchanted place that we're questing to, and it's
Yeah.
very much like quest energy, whether if it's like inspirational walk or it's you're finding this enchanted land almost that you're looking for, this area of inspiration, this place of inspiration. Um it's almost kind of like a gesture of like protection and ownership as well. I get when it's over the land as well.
Yeah.
So, okay, when an ace comes up in, let's start with career, what um what might be some things that you would advise?
Yeah, so for career, this might be something like a side hustle that somebody is wanting to maybe expand or grow or start. Something that, is that kind of passion that maybe they could make some income from.
Mhm,
Um, for me, this is inspiration. So, it's that new spark of whatever being the Ace of Wands. If somebody's already in a career, it could just be that it might be that new spark of wanting to try something new.
mhm,
It might mean that there are some job postings coming up at work, and this might be the card to tell them to go ahead and apply for, that
mhm,
dream job or, that next step that they want to pursue.
mhm.
That's what I get for career.
I'm the same. It's like new project, new
Yeah.
venture, new opportunity. This might be someone who's starting their career or someone who's redefining what their career means to them. It's absolutely the emergence of like ideas too. So it might not necessarily mean like starting a new career, but it could just mean like
Mhm.
finding that renewed inspiration in your job or in the work that you're doing, especially if you've been doing it for a long time. And it's kind of like taking these ideas or concepts and like giving it form.
Yeah.
So kind of, yeah, bringing it into the material world. So, what about for relationships?
For relationships, again, just kind of that new, re-inspired, if you've been in a 25-year relationship, it might just be
Mhm,
that spark to reconnect, rekindle
mhm,
the flame that is between you and your partner. Um, I've had people in the past like come around, kids and teens and whatever, and now, when the kids want to leave home a lot, the relationship kind of rekindles a little bit. And I've had people say to me like, "Oh, I fell in love with my husband again." It was like,
oh,
"Oh, I guess yeah, I guess there's a period of time where you just kind of like go through the motions of
mhm,
family. And now that your kids are like, driving and moving on and doing things away from the home, yeah, you kind of have to rekindle that relationship. So for me, it's kind of that if something's been um around for a long time in terms of a relationship, it might
mhm,
mean too in terms of your friend or family relationships that something new might be starting. This might be again um, connecting with someone to create something
mhm,
like a passion project, but like together. It might be that a new person could be coming in that is going to ignite creativity and spark some new interests, even
mhm.
like influence you to get into something else like rock climbing or um, camping if that wasn't your thing before, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I like that because it's
Yeah.
definitely that creative influence, right? So maybe like discovering new hobbies through somebody or
Yeah.
going on new adventures or side quests. Like one of my friends and I, we always get together. We sometimes don't even make plans. We just like go on little side quest adventures. And
Yeah.
we kind of like see you know, wherever it is that we end up is where we end up. So it's absolute like I always feel this sense of adventure with this card, even if it
Yeah.
is in the relationship. I like what you said about the long-term partnerships and romantic partnerships and like rediscovering, yeah, there's different seasons in a relationship and it's kind of like rediscovering what that connection is like now, and getting creative in different ways to bring adventure
Mm-hmm.
into your life. Also for relationships, even though this is like days, um, I don't know. I see this as like like a long term. Like I don't know. I see because of the path with the castle and the water, and this very much gives me the sense of home, right, and
Mm-hmm.
community. So it could also just be connections that maybe you're going to like rediscover yourself many times over in, like, so these are different types of people, and there's a newness and a freshness to it. Hopefully
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense. Like, you know, when you kind of around the same people for a long time and then you bring new people in and then you discover like parts of yourself that
Yeah.
you're like, oh, didn't realize like I had that quality, or that was something that I would find interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. And what about health?
For health, again, this is going to be finding that new activity. It's spring, so as trails thaw, this could be your hiking, this could be
Hmm.
your rock climbing, this could be your camping, this could be just a new outlook on your health and fitness journey. This could be a new sense of creativity that might help with your mental health.
Hmm.
um, so yeah, that's kind of what I get out of this card.
And then for health as well, this could be like maybe this person has had a period of low energy. I see
Hmm.
this as like you're going to have renewed energy. You're going to have, especially like the mental health context, if it's someone who's been battling with their mental health, like maybe not feeling as inspired. This is the entrance of like either a person or experience that's going to give you new energy. I always like to, like, it gives you your spark back.
Yeah.
Uh, in terms of like the physical, I don't typically see or this could be like a solution, right? Because I always see this as like a magic wand.
Hmm.
And this is to me, it's like the presentation of like a creative health solution, like something different. Maybe it's someone who's discovering different holistic modalities, or they're going to see a naturopath for the first time, or trying acupuncture or something. Maybe or maybe they are leaning into science, like maybe they've
Hmm.
tried natural remedies and they need to go the scientific route. But to me, this is also like a creative approach to your wellness and just looking at it in a new and a different way. Okay. Anything else for the ace before we move on? No? Okay. So I'm going to change this little guy here to card two. So when we look at the two of wands, what do you typically see with this card?
Yeah, so I kind of get a little bit of a, he's holding the globe or the atlas in his hand. He's looking out
Mhm,
into the distance and he's got a walking stick. So
mhm,
for me, this is kind of like planning a travel trip, planning, looking out towards the future. There's one stick that's kind of, affixed to the balcony. But for me,
mhm,
I get this as like jotting things down, planning, internal thought process kind of
mhm.
thing in terms of like, am I going to go on a trip? Do I need to reevaluate things? Should I try a new adventure? So this is just one of those cards that just kind of gets the cogwheels in the head going. This is the planning card for me.
I agree. And twos are typically about like balance and decisions, relationships, like duality and choice. And I very much see there's a lot of red in this card, and red
Hmm.
always it represents like energy and passion. And he has like the red in his hat, the red in the cloak. We can see the red flowers and the red rooftop. So it's very much a decision driven by passion. And to me, it's also like long-term decisions because the figure is standing there looking almost as if he's like looking down on the town and out on the water. With the globe in their hand, I always feel like it's almost like the world is your oyster. Like there's
Hmm.
there's like unlimited possibility and potential. Um and it's temporary situations as well. Like it's things that it's like I like how you mentioned the one wand is it's kind of held there it's held up um, on the border, but it's not like it's permanently there, like
Right.
cast in concrete or anything.
Right.
So it can be changed. So to me, this is very much like make a decision. And this is a decision, it's short-term concept. Like you might be thinking about the future, but you're not making decisions for the end. You're making decisions for the next step. So there's kind of two ways that I would advise on this card if it comes up, because it would be like, I could be like, don't get too caught up in the future of it, that you're not making
Mm-hmm.
decisions and that you're not taking steps, small steps in the present, like the next immediate steps. Or it could also be someone who's maybe too caught up in the little minutia or the details and could be like, maybe look a little bit longer term, maybe
Mm-hmm.
look more towards the future. Um, okay. It almost as well, like in the card, it kind of looks like the figure is standing and like looking out of a portal, right? It's almost as if there's like this doorway that the
Yeah.
figure is standing between, and it's like from this place that they're in to the next place that they're in.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely like it's kind of like the journey to your dream. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so all right, I'm just trying to think.
So the keyword that
Willpower.
I have for this is possibilities, and you did say possibilities.
I like that.
Yeah.
So if this were to come up in a career reading, what would you
Mm-hmm.
advise?
Yeah, so this is somebody who, is looking, again, it's that planning component of it. You know what I mean? Am I looking to jump ship? Am I looking to advance my career within my company? Am I looking to go remote with my job? Am I looking to, um, um, you know, change careers altogether?
Yeah.
And so again, it's that possibilities component of it. So I wouldn't be able to um, I'd have to ask questions about what this means to them in their career. Where are they? Because it looks like they're contemplating a change,
It
or
yeah, true.
future possibilities, and what does that look like for them?
It could be like, should I take this project on? It
Right.
could also be, I always find this comes up for creative projects, like
Mm-hmm.
because it's the two. Is this a creative partner that would be beneficial for me? I also get this of like travel too. So maybe
Yeah.
there's like travel opportunity in your career, or maybe your job was stationary before and now you're looking to move to something that's maybe remote that will give you more travel opportunity, or going and kind of learning how to do your job in a new place.
Yes.
Mhm.
Like a
Uh,
transfer.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's also, I see in this card, for career, if there's some type of conflict or if there's some type of, because this is fire, right? And
Mm-hmm.
fire is ruled by the planet of Mars, and Mars is the god of war.
Yeah.
It's conflict. So, there's always, I think sometimes this underlying tension, throughout this spread. And if we're looking at it from a career aspect, it could be like, can you see both sides of the situation? Right? Like are you oh, what is the word that I'm looking for? Are you being objective in your view of it? And kind of like what is, or it's like two offers. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
seeing both sides. Maybe you're given feedback in your job, and it's really inviting you to like to see that other person's perspective as well.
Yeah.
But very much planning timeline. So this could be like you planning like your career move, you planning like what you want to do next in your career. What about for relationships?
Again, just kind of staying on the thing of possibilities for a relationship. This could be, um, you know, entering the dating world. The world is in their hand. They have the staff there, like they're ready to, and you can't see the other foot, right? So one foot is on the ground and the other one could be on that ledge to take a step forward, right?
Mhm.
So, in terms of relationships, this is, maybe somebody who's got different dating prospects. So, like maybe they're playing the field a little bit to see what's
Mhm.
going on. It might be that they want to enter into the realm of dating.
Mhm.
This might mean that you are planning something with a partner. If it
Mhm.
were relationships, in terms of, I don't know, maybe a trip with a partner, you
Mhm.
could also take a look at it that way.
Mhm.
Um, it might mean that there's a little bit of like the one could be the very practical partner, and the
Mhm.
other one could be a little bit more of like the adventurous partner.
I like
So one could be like locked into home, and one could be, the party animal, not the party animal, but like the more social person, the more adventurous person. So
Mhm.
I kind of get that with relationships as well.
I like that.
Yeah.
I agree with all of those. And to me, this is like the entry of somebody new, right? Because
Hmm.
we do have the two, and it's kind of like contemplating. But these are, I get this sense of like leisure, right? These fun things that you like to do. So maybe
Yeah.
meeting someone, doing something new, doing something adventurous, doing something creative, doing something artistic. Or meeting somebody like mutual friendship I have here as well.
I was gonna say, or like maybe it was like a travel romance, like you went to
Yeah,
Italy and you
yeah.
met someone there.
Swept away by an Italian.
Yeah.
I love that. And what about for health?
For health, again, this is looking at a new perspective. You have
Mhm.
the atlas there, the wanting to take a leap of faith. By moving forward. It's planning, it's organizing, but now to me, this is a little bit more of an active card. Like, you were like, I should go back to the gym. I
Mhm.
should get some vitamins. I should, do whatever. I should go on a retreat. And this is, I think, the card that kind of propels you to initiate it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's true. Or the other thing for health is I get sometimes is you're given information because of the
Hmm.
globe element,
Hmm.
and it's you're deciding like what do I do with this information.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely, or maybe you're feeling like stuck with a decision around your health, or you've been kind of stuck in this pattern. And you're kind of like, okay, what are things that I can do to kind of get me out of this cycle? And I do very much feel this card is connected to movement.
Hmm.
Um, mhm. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. That's all I have for health. I feel like it's kind of
Yeah.
straightforward. Anything else for this card before we?
I was just going to say, because the mountains are in the distance, the water is off to the side. He's ready to make a move.
Mhm.
Again, this is like starting that, whatever it is, it's starting that health journey, right? So whatever the person is deciding to do, they've kind of, you know, everything is out far in the distance. This is them moving towards whatever that goal is.
Mhm. I like
Mhm.
that. Final thoughts? Anything else?
No.
No? All right. Get this guy going. And the three. It's interesting because these two cards, they're almost very similar, right? Like with the figure turning. So in the two, we can see the figure in profile.
Yeah.
And then in the three, their back is facing towards us.
Yeah.
So let me just make that. Okay. So with the three of wands, looking at my notes here, I get a very similar energy to the two.
Hmm.
But with the three, it's like teamwork, commerce, expansion, travel, long-term planning, and abundance. But sometimes I get this is someone who's like almost stuck in the decision making and the planning cycle, right? Because we have the two and the three are very similar. Or from the two, it's almost as if the figure is like up on top of like the roof of the castle, and they have
Yeah.
this over this perspective from overhead, and then it's like they've moved down towards the water, so that taking maybe a more grounded approach. And now the figure is almost like standing by the water. They're still up high, um, but whereas this one, it's like there's more options and it's like you're high, you have this more of a helicopter view. Now you've kind of narrowed things down. Maybe you've made some decisions. So there's little boats that are out in the water. Sometimes people see these as like the merchant, either like sending materials out or getting materials in. So it can be a card of like receiving information, receiving
Mm.
different types of news. It's overall, it's like a very good fortune card. There's lots of yellow, which is like vibrance. Red is the energy and the personal power. And it's a very calm card. And you can see that the figure also has the white band that is on the magician, that white headband. So
Hmm.
kind of harnessing the ideas, harnessing the creativity, and the sense of imagination, and still the sense of wonder. Um, what do you get when you look at this card?
Yeah, so side by side, I see the two, and as we said, it was like the possibilities, the planning component, ready to
Mhm.
um, initiate or start a journey. Three for me is like the evening, like you started the journey,
Mm,
you've embarked. It's the evening time, you've left home, and now it's like, do I hop on a ship or do I, go to the mountains kind of thing. So there's still the figuring out the journey, but this is like the actual, like I'm on the path. So two for me is more like I'm planning all the
yeah.
possibilities, ready to start. And three is I'm in it.
Yeah.
It could be a little bit of a pause, right? Like, is this the direction? Is this the right direction? Um, do I, yeah, and to me, it's a little bit of like a plotting the continued path.
Mm,
Um, Also, maybe they started at the water and now they're up higher. So this is like, kind of how far have I come in my journey? It's just maybe like a little contemplation um, component of movement. So if this were, let's say, work,
mhm.
this is I made a career change. Or I'm starting on this work project. I'm starting in a group with people, and this is just reflecting on, kind of like was this the right move? Do I keep continuing going forward?
Mhm.
Um, in terms of work as well, this could be, maybe I'm remote and I'm just kind of, um, looking out as I'm working and just kind of taking it in.
Mhm.
I kind of get that too a little bit.
I agree. It's very much a card of like growth and change.
Hmm.
And there's big three energy. So there's the three wands, there's
Hmm.
the three boats, there's the three buds that are
On each one.
on each of the wand. And it's very much this element of like divinity, but this you don't do it alone. I always see
Right.
three, you know what I mean? As like it kind of gives me like Three of Cups vibe, but it's or it's alchemizing two things to create something new. But it's very much productivity, a work in progress. Um, and then the checker sash that he's wearing, it always reminds me of like I don't know, I grew up watching a lot of NASCAR. Um
Hmm.
and like the checkered flag, right? At the like the beginning or an end of a
One
race.
more
So
lap.
yeah, yeah, like you're going. But there's this element of victory that's associated with it.
Yeah.
Um for career, I get this as someone who like wants to travel, or someone who
Hmm.
maybe does importing or exporting,
Hmm.
um, or someone who is they've reached a certain level of mastery and they're trying to figure out like what's that next challenge, what's that next hill, or they've been doing a lot of work and they're just waiting to be rewarded for their success. What about in relationships?
Yeah, in relationships, I kind of feel like there's a little bit of like a milestone, right? Like he's
Mm,
at the top of the cliff, kind of looking at things. So this might mean that, someone's hit like a special anniversary.
Mm,
This might mean that, and they're just kind of like in that um, nostalgia, kind of, living in that moment of, 50 years or whatever kind of thing in a relationship. This means
yeah.
that you have moved through some trials, you've moved together. And this is just kind of, for me, looking out at, the potential for what's to come, but also, he's not necessarily looking back, but you can tell that he has already embarked on a journey. So this is maybe looking at the journey that you've been on. This is looking
Mhm.
at the future, just taking a pause moment to take it all in.
It's like this, like reminiscing almost,
Yeah.
right? Like they're reminiscing and they're looking and they're seeing like, look at all these great, like all of these things that we've been through. And then
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what is that next chapter going to hold for us? What is that next piece going to be? It could also be maybe, I like that for like a partnership context, in terms of like a relationship to the self. It could be someone who feels like they've taken the time to do a lot of work on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they've become very confident in like what they have and what they have to offer. And it's like almost like now that they're ready to go back out into the world, kind of like you said before, um, and kind of see what kind of partnerships await them.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And then health. What do you get for health?
For health, I kind of get like a little bit of a journey.
Yeah, me too.
um, and again, it's this kind of moment of pause, like looking to see how far we've come. So if somebody's been ill for some time, this might just mean that they've hit remission. It
Mhm,
doesn't mean that they don't have a journey ahead of them.
mhm.
It might mean that the remission is going to be for the rest of their life. You don't know. It's just kind of a pause in illness.
Yeah.
And so, again, it might be that time to reflect on family, friends, the support that you've had, the journey that you've come through. This might be a weight loss journey. This might be a physical health journey. This might be a mental health journey, right?
Mhm,
This might be addictions. And so, if you're in a
mhm.
in a in a moment of being sober or having remission, this might just mean like you've hiked up this big hill. Now you can kind of take the opportunity to look at the sites below. Doesn't mean
Mm.
that you don't have a far journey ahead of you, but it just means that you know, you've hit this place of being able to take it all in.
You're acknowledging the path.
Yeah, the
And
path. That's
yeah,
right.
to me, this is somebody who has a chronic long-term illness or somebody who is starting to approach periods in their lives where aging starts to creep in, right? So
Oh
maybe
yes. Oh, thank you.
they've had a lot of right. You're not much older than I am. Sneaks up on you. But this could be somebody who when like you're younger and you're in your 20s and you're not really thinking about those things.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you have like supplements and stretching and like all these other like,
And now you don't need two
you
walking
know,
sticks to get you up the hill. You need three to support you.
hey, I go to bed at like 9 o'clock, so
I do too.
um, but this could be somebody who's maybe in their 50s or their 60s
Right.
and they're
Right.
looking towards, right? Because there's the reality of aging.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this could be them being like, okay, how do I want to be active in my later
Mm-hmm.
years? Or this could be somebody who has had like an undiagnosed illness, and they are looking to maybe some non-traditional routes to try to figure out if they could get some type of support,
Mm-hmm.
to improve their quality of life. And then kind of in a more mundane, someone who's just bored, right? Because
Yeah.
like boredom affects your health. Um, and this person just kind of like looking and trying to figure out, you know, how am I going to integrate different aspects of health into my life, on my path, on the journey,
Hmm.
right? Could also be someone who's young, who's looking at the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Like, how do I how do I maintain movement? This is very much a card of like physical movement for me, this suit. So it's like, how can I maintain, my mobility and my flexibility as I'm aging?
I mean, for me, in terms of career, like when I got into my career at such a young age, I was like, wow, so I'm going to do this until I'm 65? So it's also that kind of like trying to
Yeah,
gain perspective of the future, I guess, as well.
I get
Looking
that.
ahead and like navigating your path.
I like that. Or it can be like I had it, right? I was in my career for 15 years that I kind of got to this top of the hill and
Yeah.
I was like, this is where I always aspired to be.
Yeah.
And I was very unhappy. And so then I decided to jump off the cliff into the unknown water.
Head first or feet first?
Yeah. At this point, it's but this could be also like someone who's, climbed the top of their career ladder and this kind of like, what now, too?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's so much in this card. It's such a simple card, but I find it
Hmm.
provides like, and again, we have that doorway or that almost like portal energy. Um, it's a card that can give you like a ton of insight. And I feel like the more that we look at this card, like the more that we can talk about it. And it
Yeah,
gives a lot of context. To me, this is like a context card, right? Like, because it really gives energy to the cards around it, because
it
in
does.
itself, it has so much to it. So, yeah.
Unlike the swords where we were just like, phew, these ones we can keep talking and talking and talking about. Yeah.
It's a depressing suit. Yes.
Yes.
Anything else for the three?
No, no, I think that's it.
Okay. Okay. So now the four. Move this card. Move this card. All right. The Four of Wands. There's so much imagery in this card.
Hmm.
So it's very much a card of celebration and victory. Fours are always, to me, it's about balance, um, regardless of the suit. It can be very much a card of like a homecoming, a celebration. In some contexts, it's a wedding or it's a marriage card. Um, the two figures that are standing central, the one is white and blue, which is very much a nod to the high priestess, and then the other one is red, which is very much a nod to the magician. So it's the synergy between uh, kind of like very intuitive and very maybe like abstract thinking that we get with the high priestess. And then the magician is like the ultimate alchemist. So taking ideas, bringing it into the physical reality. So it could also be this energy or this marriage of ideas and action.
Hmm.
Um, the castles in the background. So that's where we get the homecoming element. These travelers, right? The travelers from the two and the three, they have found some sense of home. They found some sense of they've reached some sort of destination, and
Hmm.
they've had success from it. Uh, so this just kind of in more pagan traditions can also sometimes represent like May Day or Beltane, different in May Day, it's a maypole representing fertility, excuse me, and kind of like blessing the upcoming harvest. And Beltane is also I think spring celebration. And it's very much seed planting. So it's like the seed planting and then the fertilization of what you're going to be harvesting, what you're going to be sowing in the future. What do you get from this card?
Yeah, so for me, this is I look at this, yes, homecoming, it is the marriage card, it's community for me in
Mhm.
terms of the large amounts of people, when you think about a wedding or a party or something like that that come together. I also look at it as a milestone,
Mhm.
a time for pause. And then if I'm thinking about spring, I'm also thinking about in terms of like a milestone graduations,
Oh,
right? This
yes,
is when
very
people
much.
graduate from high school, from university. And
Mhm.
so, that is kind of a celebration. If you think about your class or your school that you go to and everyone's celebrating.
Mhm.
It's bringing the community together. So that's kind of what I think when I look at this card.
Mhm. I
Hmm.
like that. So in terms of career, I definitely see this as you've gotten the job, you are partnered with like a really great manager or a mentor, you have a really great team that you're working on, you've completed a project and you're receiving like accolades for it.
Yeah.
Or you've just finally found something that satisfies your creative mind with kind of like the mundane doing of things, if that makes sense. Um, so to me, this is like someone having a lot of joy in their job. But it could also, year ends are also typically around the spring.
Yes.
So it
Yeah.
could be like the award of, I used to always get like bonuses, or I used to always get some type of raise or a
Hmm.
promotion. It's very much what I get of this card. So you're establishing,
Yeah.
um, you're very much establishing, or you are established at one layer, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I was going to say the same things in terms of like the year end sales meetings, awards,
Hmm.
bonuses. Also, too, like a milestone for work would be hitting retirement,
Yeah,
right? This could be a retirement party. This could be um, a team celebrating a win, getting a contract, getting a purchase order, something like that. Something in terms of work, um, you know, that multiple people can
celebrate you almost.
yeah, celebrate and take the success in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Da, 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 da. So in relationships, we've kind of already touched on it. It's like a marriage or a honeymoon card, or it's finding, because of the high priestess and the magician energy, it's finding somebody that you have, or people, relationships, romantic, family, that you have great synergy with.
Yeah.
You have very complementary um kind of skill sets, or you've just found people that you work really well together with, people who want to like celebrate with you,
Mhm.
um, maybe people who've been on the journey with you too, um, and are recognizing like all your hard work and are celebrating with you. Trying to think of anything. What else? Oh, and it's also because there's the community dynamic to this card. So it's not just about you or the relationship. It's also about I get almost like a role model card, right? Like,
Mhm.
so like modeling behavior to a community, or um being supported by your community. Do you have anything else for relationships with this card?
No, no, not
Yeah.
not coming off the top of my head right now. No.
Yeah. Um and in health, it's just like celebrating a milestone, being in good health, having supportive community, maybe finding a
Yeah.
practitioner that you really relate to, or
Right.
just celebrating your health, celebrating your wellness. Like, I think that's something that we might underappreciate. Um, until you start to have some type of a health concern, then you really, really appreciate your healthy body or your healthy mind, right? Or what
Yeah.
healthy energy is. So it could just be like this added appreciation of what health and wellness is. Good
I was gonna
news.
say
Mhm.
maybe like a support group
Yeah.
or finding community in something that you really love. Like maybe you found a hiking group. Maybe you
Yeah.
found, you know, a sense of community that you feel really positive about if you like went to an indoor rock climbing group. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
just that kind of synergy in your tarot collective. You know what I mean? Like if
Mhm.
finding a sense of belonging and community, I think that's this card can represent that in terms of relationships or even health.
Yeah,
Yeah.
support. I've had this even come up, somebody who, somebody who was really working on their sobriety, and they hit, like, a
Hmm.
milestone, in their sobriety,
Yeah.
so
Like the
overall,
one
a
month
very
chip.
positive card. Yeah.
Yes,
Like this is a very beautiful card.
it is a
Um,
very wonderful card.
because it a lot of the cards are you're journeying, you're on your way to something, you're looking
Yeah.
towards the next. And this is a card to be like, be present and appreciate everything and everyone that's around you, is very much an energy I get. Okay, let me just see if I have any other prosperity, family bliss. Yeah, reunions. Just double checking my notes to see if there's anything
Hmm.
else. But I think we've kind of covered anything. Do you have anything else for this card?
I mean, we could probably say a bunch of, similar things
Mhm.
and go on and on and on and on about, the sense of community and rites of passage and
Mhm.
celebration and stuff like that. But overall, I think it's a very good card.
Good card to get.
Yeah.
All right. So then we move to five, and five
Hmm.
in the tarot in any suit is always about change.
Yeah.
And you can see even in the illustrations from the ace to the four, uh, it's very peaceful. And then all of a sudden the five comes. And the five is like, all of these things are going to change. So this can be a card of conflict. This can be a card of competition, challenge, rivalry. Um, one of my favorite images about, or one of my favorite aspects of the images in this card is that the seeker is represented kind of in the yellow, and then each one of the pages are here. So I feel like this card, this fire, right? This combative energy, this very passionate energy, is really testing your ability to mature, right, into the pages. Because there's, you can see each of them there. I don't know if I can zoom in, but it's not like to the death, like the swords.
Hmm.
These are like debates, or these are like practice battles. So it's like friendly competition, right? So it's like preparing you in a safe space for maybe future conflict, or um for future opportunities where people will have like opposing views that you have. I'm just strength in different ways, right? That's what
Hmm.
each of the suits is so it's like mental strength, physical strength, strength of will, and I'm forgetting one, but it's strength in each of the suits is being tested through this. And I think when we're passionate about anything, or we bring fire energy into anything, it can really make things boil, right? So standing your
Hmm.
ground, obstacles. I'm just trying to see if there's anything. This card is very much about like a power struggle. Mhm. What do
So
you get?
that's what I get from this card. It also kind of looks like a Sears catalog, like fight, and then they're posing kind of thing. I think it's kind of funny when you look at the one in red.
Yes, that was my favorite.
Very Sears catalog, like boys fight, and then but also pose.
Yeah.
Um, so for me, I kind of think is this is like a competition, but like they're really not at battle, right? Like it's a fake battle. Um, uh, they, they don't look like they're sweating or bleeding or anything like that.
Right.
Um, someone yesterday said, or are they working as a group to build like a teepee or a structure? And I was like, well,
Mm,
I mean, I guess you could battle that, or you could possibly see that.
yeah.
If they were trying to build something, I think they're very aloof. But in terms of for me, this is competition, right? Or kids
Frustration.
fighting, playing pirates or something like that, where you have wooden swords and you're just kind of going through the battle. There's a lot of intent and a lot of play and a lot of imagination that comes out of playing pirates or whatever when you're a little kid. So I kind of get that from this card a little bit
Mm.
of that childish. um, vigor. And, again, it's the card of passions and creativity. Um, so, with that, little kids will, make pirate sounds and fighting sounds and, things like that. So,
Think of like my nephews, and they always are like play fighting or like wrestling.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like they're
But you learn, you, when you roughhouse, you learn
it's
boundaries, right? You learn
true.
if you hurt someone, oh crap, I hurt you.
Consequence. Hmm.
Consequence, yeah. Boundaries and consequence. And kind of playful competition.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Almost like testing the limits of your power too, right? It's
exactly.
really
Yeah,
like, oh, how much strength do I have? How much influence do
exactly.
I have?
Yeah.
Um, and then it could also be like, which one of these elements, do I need to work on more than the
Hmm.
other? So if this card were to come up, I'd be curious what other suits would come up with it, because that would be an
Right.
opportunity to like build, right? Do I need to emotionally strengthen? Do I need to mentally
Hmm.
strengthen? Do I need to physically work on my physical self? Definitely those types of aspects there.
Yeah.
So if it were to come in with career, to me, this would
Mm.
be like maybe you're presenting a proposal or a project, and this is the people who are coming, they're kind of like picking it apart, right? Um, or this could be, uh, it is still competition at work, but it could just be someone who's like challenging you for growth. This isn't someone who's like challenging you to ruin you or to get you fired,
Right. Right.
but it could be challenging you to stretch yourself and to be able to grow in a new way. Um, but it is also very much a disagreement. So you could be disagreeing with several people. Um, Lots of people are involved. This is not, sometimes it's like only one or two people, but this is like groups of people are involved.
Yeah.
People have very strong opinions, or people who are very strong-willed, or who have like a combative aspect to their personality. Hmm. What else?
Um, because nobody seems to be fighting with each other, this could also be, to me, that there's a lack of leadership.
Oh,
No
mm-hmm.
one to kind of say, hey, let's fight in a group of three and a group of two, or hey, let's not fight anymore. Like, it's just no one is standing up for the group. And if
Hmm.
everyone is kind of at that same level, fighting, it means that there's no one at the top kind of leading the charge. So it could be a lack of leadership, or it could be competition to become that leader position.
Mm.
um, in terms of work, this could be, I would just say, like competing priorities as well.
Yeah.
It might not necessarily be people, but it might be inputs from different directions, multiple things coming at you, and just kind of, again, those competing priorities. It might be an imbalance between your work life, like an internal work struggle.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I agree. In relationships, this is people who are fired up, people who have different opinions, people who are
Yeah.
trying to challenge you.
Yeah.
This could be, I don't know, maybe gossip got out of control, or
Hmm.
in some way there is some type of tension or conflict in your group. Or this could also be friends that you feel secure with, that you can be very objective with and give feedback to. Maybe you're having issues with a particular friend group, because this is groups of people.
Yeah.
So this could be, I don't know, maybe you're practicing new boundaries or speaking up for yourself. And so you enlist your friends who you feel secure with, to practice those types of things with.
To me, this is also family arguments. And what do families argue about? They argue about money, they argue
Mhm.
about estates, they argue about wills, they argue about, you know,
Decision making.
yeah, should we put grandma in a nursing home? You know what I mean? So this could just be like an internal family discourse kind of thing as well. Just that uncomfortable battle of, you know,
Mm-hmm.
rank.
Or it
within
could
the
also just
family.
be like, like being the black sheep of your family, right? So
Mhm.
it's like me, I'm always in conflict with I'm very different than my family. So it could be also just that's your family dynamic,
Yeah.
and just understanding that. I like that perspective. In health, um, I would say this person has a lot going on. And whatever it is affecting every facet of their life. It's affecting their
Mhm.
emotional, physical, their sense of personal power. Um, and I would very much say to this person, like maybe take a time out, or maybe maybe they've had different opinions and gone to different practitioners and they're weighing the pros and cons, or it could be people's ideas of what they should be doing with their health as well, and you're projecting that onto somebody, or it's being projected
Mhm.
onto you. Hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe they have a lot of like internal demons happening with external influences,
Yeah.
a little bit of turmoil going on, a little bit of conflict with, relationships as well as like thoughts within the brain kind of thing in terms of health. Um, yeah, similar. Yeah.
Like they're trying to build a structure, but every time they like try to build something, it's like a new problem comes in.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm,
Yeah.
just anything else for this card?
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah, it's pretty. All right, let's go to card 6. Okay, card 6. I love this card. So this is very much um it's very much a card of victory. So the figure, the speaker, whoever it is, that the person is relating to, whether it's a person in the crowd or the person who's riding the horse, it's very much a card of victory and success. We can see the figure is wearing a wreath, and there is the victory wreath that's on their staff. There's people in the background, which could be people who are receiving you. It could be a homecoming as well. But it's also a card of success, but like people watching with jealousy and envy because the one figure off in the corner, it looks like they're almost like giving a little bit of side, like a little bit of side eye.
Yeah.
And it's although there is kind of that element of envy, the victory is like it's your victory. Like no one like I almost like to give the advice of like don't let people take your joy if that
Yeah.
comes up in the context of this card. Um, but it's very much harmony. Um, let's see what I have here. Recognition, success, good news, time of celebration, recognize achievement, tribute as well could be
Hmm.
something, and just the ability to overcome obstacles.
So I never saw the side eye until you mentioned it to me, and I was like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, they could not be happy. You know what I mean? There could be some jealousy going on.
Yeah.
The other thing in terms of it, I never thought of until now is that horses feel pride. So when a
Oh,
racehorse wins, they'll show off. They know they've won. I know. And so this
interesting.
horse, if those people are jeering, not cheering, it could just be the horse kind of like brushing it off as well with his face. Because like, why isn't he looking forward? Um, but for me, yeah, this card is recognition or some sort of victory, some sort of win for sure.
It's like so for career could be like that promotion, that new
Yeah,
job, that retirement, that changing career. Um, but it's supported by community.
yeah.
There's very much the community aspect in this card as well. And other people are going to share in your accomplishments. So as
Hmm.
much there is that tinge of jealousy, but the overarching message of the card is like sharing success and celebration with others. Um, so it's very much a passage from one stage in your career to the next. What do you get for career?
Yeah, for career, I get that there's just been some sort of prosperity. Like you got that promotion, You got hired, like you had an interview, you just got that new job.
Mm.
There's recognition. Maybe you were the top salesperson in your career. Um, and not that your coworkers wouldn't be, happy, but there's probably that little bit of like, oh man, I wish I won kind of thing,
Mhm.
and not necessarily jealousy, but yeah, and ideally too, when you have like a benefit of like, there is a whole marketing team, there is a whole, sales division, your managers, kind
Mhm.
of stuff like that when you look at it. But obviously, you're the one being rewarded. So I do think this is sure. There's a bit of a backing, contribution, but to me, this is more of an individual accomplishment.
Take your glory. I get with
Yeah.
this. Sometimes this card will come up with people who I used to do this. It's like they would be like, "Oh, but it was like no, it's like take your success and your earned success and know that you worked
Mhm.
hard and that you deserve it and it's like your moment."
Yeah.
And to be able to be celebrated. For a relationship, it's just like a very good harmonious card for a relationship. Maybe you're coming out of a hard time. Maybe this could also be the entrance of somebody new into your life, like literally
Yeah.
coming in on a horse. That it's going to be a good passionate because like they're cloaked in the red, right? So we're having that fire energy come back. And somebody that maybe like your friends and your family, your loved ones, they will also like them. Because like not all partnerships, uh, sometimes you might like date people if you were like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? But to me, this is like someone who's coming in, if it's a new connection, that you'll very much have the support of your community. Or it could also be somebody who is out of a long-term relationship and has finally found like autonomy,
Yeah.
and who's just enjoying being and celebrating themselves, and maybe celebrating being single or celebrating or finally like getting back on the horse too sometimes, like
Yeah.
getting themselves back out there. I mean,
Um,
yeah.
I was going to say, you don't know what's behind them. So it could just be ushering in a period. There could be a procession behind this person,
Mhm.
right? Like an army, or, maybe they were victorious. And so this is just, kind of the leader ushering in the rest of the team in terms of like ushering a period of good time,
I like
like
that.
a period of you know, feeling victorious. So, in terms of timeline, I know the wands are more of days, but I feel like this is ushering in either a person or an experience or like a set of time of just benefiting.
Like yeah, like a season, right? Because it is the
Yeah,
spring. So it's
yeah,
like whatever is growing in the spring, it's something that you've wanted to cultivate, like what's
hmm,
popping up for you are favorable things.
yeah. Yeah. So in terms of relationships, this could be ushering in a period of time of stability within your relationships, just
Yeah,
feeling good about the people who are in your life,
confident.
ushering in a new relationship,
Yeah.
ushering in, yeah. Because I mean, the five was, you know, kind of combative, and this is, a complete 180, in my opinion.
Some with the mastery of the lessons of the five
Yeah,
to a certain degree, right? Because
to a
we're
certain
always
degree.
learning.
Yeah.
And same with health. Health, this is the arrival of a new expert, someone on your team to help you. It could be you celebrating your health, celebrating your
Mhm.
vitality. It could be also you're finally have all the people on your team that you need in order to maintain your health or to improve your health. What do you get for health?
Yeah, ushering a period of good health, ushering
Mhm.
in or welcoming, a victory. Maybe they have hit remission.
Mhm.
This could be bringing in, a little bit of harmony. If you go back to the five, where people were maybe having, you know, if for health, we were saying like there might be conflicting opinions or people imposing their opinions on you. This is
Mhm.
kind of like everyone is harmonious in terms of the decisions around a treatment plan, or you know, this is, you know, finally people are, grandma saying let's go to a nursing home, and everyone is kind of on the same track as that.
Supportive.
Yeah, supportive.
Overall, very good, positive
Yeah,
card. I like to see this. Anything else for the card?
no, I think that's it.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else either. Okay, card 7. All right. So overall, card 7, some of the key words that I have is like resistance, self-defense, opposition, but it could also be having advantage because the figure
Hmm.
is standing up over the hill and looking down. It could also, um, so this card can be looked at in two ways. The figure can sometimes be interpreted as a giant, so that's where that perspective is. So that even if you having these like kind of these wands or these sticks poking up at you, you have this physical advantage. Like you're very much above, and you're over top of everything that's happening to you. It could also be that like you were caught off guard because one he has one boot and one shoe.
Hmm.
So it could be like you just threw things on him like you went out to defend yourself. So things that sneak up on you, um, as you're trying to use everything within your power to defend your position. And this is more because of the size of the figure. I always kind of get these are like bigger picture issues. These are concerns that can be like giant almost.
Hmm.
Um, or you might be like, you might feel like you stand out, right? You're very different than the people around you. I'm just trying to think any more imagery. The imagery is very straightforward.
Right.
Green that he's wearing, it's symbolizes nature, growth. Um, and then again, we have that orange and that red and that fire. So there's this grounding aspect with the green, right? So using that passion, but really not letting that kind of burn everything away, right? Remembering to be grounded, even in the throes of battle or even in the midst of conflict, really maintaining that higher position and that perspective.
I was also going to say, too, because they are in higher ground, it could also be a little bit of like rising above, rising
Right.
against kind of thing.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing if there's anything else. You're ready for challenge is really what
Yeah.
this is.
Yeah.
So in career, this could just be like opposing viewpoints, you holding your position. This could be friendly, like I get a little bit more of an aggressive element to this card, whereas the Five of Wands seems like more friendly competition.
Hmm.
This Seven of Wands seems, the figure seems a little bit more angry, seems a little bit more upset by almost the villagers that are down around him.
Yeah.
So in career, it's just maybe a conversation where you're going to have to defend yourself or you're going to have differing opinions from somebody. But it's also like success is in reach. Like it's minor. It's a very minor
Hmm.
battle in the consideration of things. Mm,
I was going
You
to
can,
say maybe you're
yeah.
feeling ostracized as well,
Yeah.
trying to find an inroad. Maybe you're new in a place and everyone's kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
I could maybe see this card in terms of career if like you're the new boss that comes in, and
Yeah.
like somebody from the team applied for it and you got it and they didn't, and so
Yeah.
everyone's just kind of like um not so welcoming.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It could also be like you're standing up for those who can't stand up for them. I get very
Yeah.
much, although the figure is alone, I get that they're like really standing up for like the greater good.
Well, you don't, again, it's kind of like a single image. You don't know who's behind them, right? Like, is
Yeah.
he standing up for the village,
Yeah.
for his people? Yeah. And so there's a lot to be kind of created with this card. In
Mhm.
terms of work, yeah, this might be having to defend your work.
Hmm.
having to fight off people trying to, um, I don't know, maybe people are trying to poach you and you're just like, no, I like where I am.
Hmm.
Um,
True.
yeah,
In relationships, I see this as like minor hurdles that your relationship is going to go through. You might need to like fight for that love or that passion, stand up for yourself, or standing up for yourself in a relationship.
yeah,
And it's like short term minor things, or it could just be I let some minor things go, but now it's built up to this greater problem. So now it's time to address kind of maybe now those minor problems have become greater than they needed to. Um, Sometimes I can read it that way as well.
yeah. Are you being defensive in the relationship? Are you
Hmm.
defending your relationship to other people?
Yes.
Um, yeah. Also, like, I kind of get a little bit of like choose your battles.
Yes, me too.
Yeah.
Is it worth it? Like,
Is it worth it? Yeah.
can you see the other perspective too? Because this card kind of gives that kind of like balcony or that higher perspective view,
Hmm.
is can you maybe see the root of where the problem is coming from?
Yeah.
Um, okay.
Can you
And
rise above
then,
it?
yeah.
Can you look at it from a different perspective? If it
Yeah.
is an argument, maybe there is an argument. And so this is, you know, go to higher grounds, look down, and then
Yeah.
is it worth it? Yeah.
And then in health, this is someone who is in a health battle. They're fighting for their health. Um, I don't really have like for health one, I don't get this a lot. But it's very similar. Like someone who's just continuing, maybe this is someone who has a chronic long-term illness,
Hmm.
and then they're in this cycle um, of kind of like well-being and illness, well-being and illness, or it could maybe even be someone who's in denial of all of their issues and they've been ignoring them, and now they can't ignore them anymore, right? Or they thought like again that these were all minor things, and now they've um now they've added up to huge problems,
Yeah.
and they're maybe a bit overwhelmed as to like what do I pick off first, like um mhm.
Hmm.
What do you get for health?
Um, I kind of, if anything, this could just be like, oh, I get a hoarder not wanting to get rid of their things, but the
Mm,
family, like, no, you need to clean up. This is, so almost ganged up on a little bit, but not
mhm.
necessarily in a bad way, because nobody should live in a hoarding situation. It's not healthy. This could be people, defending yourself and people wanting you to go to rehab.
Yep.
This could be, people telling you that you have like it being felt like it's ganged up on, but not necessarily in a bad way. Like maybe it's an intervention,
Yeah.
right? And so you feel defensive in that situation. But I would just say, in terms of like of health, this is either a battle that you're going through, or this is people pressuring you, or this is an ongoing struggle that has kind of relapsed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Anything else for the seven?
No.
Check my notes. All right. That's all I have. Okay. And card eight. Card eight is one one of the few cards that actually minus outside of the aces that does not have any figures on them. So there's the eight wands. It's very much a card of movement, communication, information, maybe after a period of stagnation. It's action, acceleration, speed, quick change. This card typically is the arrival of news or information or rapid communication. So maybe a lot of communication coming at you at one time. And in the Minor Arcana, this is The only other card that doesn't have a figure in it is the Three of Swords. So it's interesting that there's all of this action oriented and movement in this card, but there's no people. I
Yep.
always find that was like an interesting kind of uh, aspect of this card.
Not to put you on the spot, but do you know why they chose not to have a people on this card?
I don't,
Okay.
honestly.
I
I
wonder if
don't.
anyone like if they
Yeah,
know, if they want to leave a comment of
no.
why
Yeah.
there's no people in this card.
I'm making a note for myself. I'm gonna
Okay.
look that up. But if anybody knows,
Hmm.
let us know. While I'm writing this, what do you get for the eight?
Um, I mean, you can either think of these as like swinging or flying through the air like arrows. I know there are
Mm-hmm.
some other Eight of Wand um, um, depictions where it is arrows because they're shot and they move fast through the air.
Mm-hmm.
There is, to me, the sense of speed with this
Yeah.
and travel or movement or something rapid paced or quick paced. And then, yes, I do, just from learning the tarot, know that there's that component of like a message coming.
Mm-hmm.
Travel, yeah,
Yeah,
travel, speed, quickness, and a message.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because then we're now on the outside of town again, right?
Hmm.
So it's almost like things are happening like things are always happening, right? Even if you feel stuck or stagnant, things are always in motion around you. So even if in your day-to-day life you don't see it happening, you don't see a lot of movement, things are moving around you, is sometimes what I get with this
Yeah.
card. Just because we're taken into the town and now we're taking kind of like back out of the town.
Hmm.
Um, Overall, this is like an incredibly positive card. Um, but it could be overwhelming. So if this is work, then it's maybe you're getting a lot of offers, you're getting a lot of projects, you're getting a lot of new clients, you're getting a greater workload. Maybe your
Hmm.
team is growing. Um, but it's a lot of event. It's like a busy season. Like a lot of events are happening, a lot of things. This is very much a card of like prioritization as well.
Yeah.
Just because it's coming at you doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you or that it's something that um, should integrate. This could be an influx of opinions, right? So,
Yeah.
you're dealing with a situation and maybe you went to a mentor or someone who has more experience than you, and you're asking for advice.
Yeah.
So,
To me,
mhm,
this means also means momentum. Like
yeah.
run with it. So, um, in terms of like career or work, like let's just
Mhm.
say that you are starting a business independently. If this card came up, it would mean that, the seven would mean that there's a bit of struggle. Maybe people are naysayers about your business, like, oh, you're not going to be successful, da 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 da. And then the eight is now you're getting clients. Now things are moving. Now, like maybe at like a unreasonable pace. Like you got six inquiries to start at the same time, and you're like, "Whoa, what's happening?" But to me, it just means momentum in terms of work. So this could be that a project is finally taken off,
Mhm.
and now you can run with it. It could mean that. If you were unemployed or looking for a new career, that the offers are coming in correct, like you said. It could mean that um, work because it's also tax season for accountants. Like the work is piling up,
Yeah.
and everything is just kind of fast paced to get it done. For some companies, right now is end of year.
Yeah.
For a lot of companies, it's December 31st, but for others, it's the end of March, and so that's spring, and that could just be momentum and having to things taking off.
I agree. And I feel sometimes in the spring too, it's like everything is barren and it's very much wintry. Like I live in a four-season climate. But then sometimes it feels like almost overnight, everything is blooming.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives me this card's energy. Um, in relationship, so this could be like, I do get a travel like a travel element off of this card as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this could be communication from a partner, communication about a relationship. Um, there's also kind of like a planning element to the card. Um, but overall, and I don't get that, to me, I get that this is somebody who's already in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily get like this is a new person or a new relationship. I get that these are existing relationships that you have. Maybe it's someone that you haven't seen in a while or talked to in a while. Or, maybe this, who you were having conflict with this in the Seven of Wands. This is more organized or logical solutions to whatever
Yeah.
kind of like confrontation or problem that you might be having. Or it could be, like if you're dating someone and then they like reveal their feelings to you. Or this could be in your friendships, right? Like somebody
Mm-hmm.
who is like maybe you're the close knit, like your relationships are well, they're either getting closer or maybe you get all this communication and decide like actually I'm gonna limit my time with this person. So it's giving you information to make decisions on your relationships. What do you get for relationship aspect?
For relationships, again, this with the quickness of this, again, I wouldn't say this is like in terms of a new relationship, this could be the infatuation stage
Mm,
where everything is quick. You want to spend all your time with them. Things are moving. Some one person might think like, "Oh, this is moving too fast,"
yeah,
um, or this could mean that you are going to take a trip with someone, a
yeah.
friend, relative, partner, um, or in terms of like a message coming in. Well, I already said it. Like it's they share their feelings with you. It's that infatuation phase,
Hmm.
and things you might just feel like things are moving a little bit quick.
Or it could be like a fling, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Just when you were saying that, that's the word that kind of came
In
up.
terms of like,
Hmm.
yeah, they fly into your life, they're out of your life, like really
Yeah,
quick drive
yeah,
by.
yeah. um, and then for health, so along the communication aspect as well, maybe you were awaiting results. These are getting
Mhm.
the results in, maybe even like waiting for a referral to a specialist. This is you getting that communication in. But this, I also get this kind of discernment around this card because it's like with all of this communication coming in, it can be maybe overwhelming in a health capacity.
Mhm.
So maybe you've waited for so long and then it's like everything all at one time. um, this is one of my acupuncture cards. I know it's kind of like the swords are my acupuncture cards, but this is also, to me, I would, it's an energy card.
Yeah.
So, from more of like a holistic perspective, I'd be like, maybe, there's something energetically going on, or there's like a meridian in your body to kind of tap into, or to go for acupuncture to release pressure. um, this could also be someone who has high blood pressure.
Mm.
Interestingly enough, I've had this come up because like fire, it's that suit of like passion and rigor. And for whatever reason, I've had this come up for people who have high blood pressure or who are approaching like different types of like cardiac, not cardiac failure, but um I would tip like sometimes I've told people to go and see a cardiologist when this card has come up for whatever reason. Um, what about health do you get? Or what do you get?
I kind of get that kind of like the wheel is rolling. So if someone, you go see the doctor and they're just like, yeah, we're going to call you, we're going to do a series of tests. And then all of a sudden it's like the next week you have like blood work, MRI, CT, follow up, re-CT, follow up, MRI, follow up, consult. And you're just like, kind of out of the blue, weren't expecting
Yeah.
uh, the speed of things. You're like, oh, okay, sure. Over the next couple of months, I'm going to go see some doctors, and then it like all kind of happens all at the same time. In terms of health, this might just mean wanting to, picking up momentum on like the betterment of your health, right? This could
Mhm.
just be finally that speed, the vigor of wanting to get better, do better, be healthy, spring cleaning,
Mm.
decluttering. I don't know anyone who's ever done spring cleaning over 5 days. It's like literally done one day, and you're like, whew, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's fast. When you do it, you get really into it, and it happens. You expedite it yourself.
Yeah.
So I get a little bit of that in terms of health, and just kind of because it's so fast. I don't really see anything long term or chronic with this. I just see wanting to or gaining the momentum with whatever it is that you're doing.
It's like you're receiving the information. I always
Yeah.
get like this is someone who's maybe been stagnant. So it's receiving the information so that you can take action. This could also be someone maybe with mental health. They're very manic right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're in a very heightened manic state. Or maybe someone who is on a physical health journey and they've been making all of these changes. Maybe they've made nutritional changes. They've made mental, like very much working on mindset and their routines or getting into healthier routines. And for a period of time, you don't see anything, right?
No.
So you could be doing something for 2 or 3 months and you
Yeah.
stuck with it and you don't see anything. And then it's like, oh, all of a sudden you start to notice I've improved flexibility. My mindset has improved. My pants are fitting better than they were before. Like
Yeah.
it's a lot of like a lot happens behind the scenes, and then it's kind of like this is all of the work that you've been doing is starting to show up, and
Mhm.
it's starting to pay off.
Yeah.
But you're already like it's that continuation of
Yeah. But this is the results are flooding in,
yes,
right?
yes. I love this card. There's so much. Like this is
Yeah.
another card where there's so much and it's a very intuitive card. I find sometimes the more I look at it, like I look at it in new ways, I get new information, and depending on what cards are around it, it can be a valuable card to come up in a reading because you'll be able to give some advice, like something tangible to somebody.
Hmm.
It'll be like here's this that you're receiving, here's something that you can do about it. Mhm.
And when you look at decks that don't have people in it, like the pip decks or
Mhm.
something that doesn't have like a face or an expression in it, those are kind of the intuitive cards, right? Because you don't have like a facial, with the Seven of Wands, that guy looks like he's fighting. When you look at the Nine of Wands, you can see the weary look on the face, right?
Yeah.
And so, without having body language or a face to kind of go off of, um, yeah, all you really have to rely on is your intuition to kind of, pull things from
Mhm.
it.
It's true. So last thing is also, sorry, I forgot to, it's like a framework, right? So this could be like you're building something, you're getting the resources to build something, or it's like a framework for something else in the future. That was kind of like my last note for this one. Anything else for the 8? All right. The 9. What do you interpret the 9 as when it shows up?
Yeah, so I know ideally this is like protection, boundary, putting your wall up kind of thing. I always thought because the gentleman looks weary in this with the bandage around the head that it's been like you've kind of been beat up.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a protection thing, but I like to kind of also think of it as putting up boundaries, like the other component of it.
Yes.
Like um, it is protecting yourself, but it's also, you know, can also be a physical component that you can walk away of that's set permanently.
Mhm.
Like he's standing there kind of defending it, but if those wands are in the ground far enough, he can walk around and that boundary is, could be permanent kind of thing.
Mhm. I agree. So I have like defense,
Yeah.
protection, maintaining boundaries, persistence, standing your ground.
Ending your
This is
ground.
very
Yeah.
much also a card of like strength and resilience
Yeah.
because the figure, like he's been through something. Like, and it's interesting because clearly the figure has been through many trials, but the only bandage is around their head. So
Hmm.
maybe this could be uh like events or things that have changed your mindset or have impacted your mindset, even though we're very much in that fire physical kind of energy. Your mind is also, mind body connection is very real. um just trying to
I've
think.
also heard people saying that is that the blindfold from the Two of Swords, just
Hmm.
kind of lifting it up off the head.
I like that.
Yeah.
Or it could be an overwhelm of the headband of the magician, right? Maybe they're
Hmm.
too much in their intuition.
Yeah.
I like that Two of Swords one though. Um, okay. Just trying to think if there's anything else. The person's very much isolated themselves,
Hmm.
right? So it's maybe taking a time out, um, removing yourself from a situation. You can see that he's very much standing on a secure foundation, like the platform that the figure's standing on. The green in the boots and the leg represents like this earthing or grounding element, while the red in the cloak maintains like the passion and the fieriness that we get from the wands itself. Um, so this to me is also like from a health perspective, I kind of someone who's been through a very long journey. But this could also be someone who is mentally dealing with uh like being defensive and defending,
Hmm.
right? Like
Hmm.
kind of the balance of the two. Um, very much protecting and guarding themselves. Mhm.
I get kind of like returning to solid ground, like returning to your um, home, like your base, like what you're used to, and
Yeah,
also like setting up boundaries too.
yeah.
In terms of health, this could be, you know, how we were saying, like maybe you've been attacked, maybe you've been swayed, maybe you've been this, and we did kind of say like stand your ground with the seven, but this kind of looks like the the journey and the road was longer,
Yeah.
and instead of fighting those people, you just kind of put a wall up and you just say like, you know what, I'm just going to separate myself from you. There is a bit of separation there.
Yeah.
There's that kind of like solo journeying a little
Mhm.
bit, right? Being on one side of the wall by themselves.
Yeah. So when it comes up in a work position, it could be somebody who's very, like, obviously, like, defending your position, maybe you're
Hmm.
being challenged, but it could
Hmm.
also, there's a secrecy element of it, right? So, like, um, defending your ideas or protecting your ideas, or those, maybe someone stealing your work or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, this is someone who needs a vacation.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, someone who's been they've been really busy and they've had the ups and downs, right? They've had the successes, they've had the
Hmm.
challenges, they've been mapping, but they're kind of like feeling very, very, very weary.
Yeah.
What else would you come up with this for work?
Um, I also have like somebody who's created a patent or somebody who needs
Mm,
to like license their stuff.
I like that.
Um, in terms of creativity, this could be like an artist or something needing to sign their work. Um, if somebody who works, I mean, where I am, there's a lab. If you work for NASA, there could be a little bit of like, if you work as a police officer, if there's an investigation going on, that might be that you need to be a little bit hush hush about, you know, keep things
Hmm.
under wrap.
Hmm.
Maybe like a non-disclosure kind of thing in
Hmm.
terms of like needing things to be protected. Maybe you're the one who they're like, you need to sign this kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, that's kind of what I get from that. It's a bit of a stretch, but
No, I agree. For relationships,
Mm-hmm.
so this could be someone who's recently exited a relationship and they've kind of like put
Mm-hmm.
these boundaries up. They're feeling a bit wounded. They could feel isolated from their friends or their partner or their family. Uh, Relationship wise, this could be it's a very defensive stance. It's a
Mm-hmm.
defensive stance, but it's passive, right? Like they're kind of standing there. It's not like they're actively, whereas in the seven, the figure is very actively defending themselves, whereas in the nine, the person's kind of standing there. So
Mm-hmm.
this could be someone who is maybe in an abusive relationship. Or they're in relationships or connections where they constantly have to defend themselves. Um, mhm. What do you get for relationships with this card?
Yeah, in terms of that, I feel like this person is just waiting, right? They're waiting for that person to come up and be like, "Hey, are you okay?" You know, I think the wall up, it might be kind of what they've put up in terms of like protecting or trying to keep privacy behind them. Um, but they're worn down. And so, you know, if you think of them, if you think of the relationship being the green mountain that they're kind of standing guard and protecting and not wanting people to see, you know, maybe the rough stuff that's happening behind it. They're standing in front looking kind of, you know, like they've been through the ringer, you know, they're also looking tired and maybe worn down a little bit. And this might be an opportunity for someone to approach and say, "Hey, are you okay?" Right?
Yeah,
Versus being on the inside of the relationship. Maybe they're now on the outside of the relationship.
I like that. And for health, this is just someone who's been on, well, this could be someone who's been in denial about their health
Mm-hmm.
issues, and now it's culminated to a point that there's almost like a stubbornness to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that they've waited too long to get treatment, or they're kind of like, oh, you know what? Now I have to take action. This has grown into a greater issue, or they might feel like isolated in their care. Um, this could be somebody who is isolated, right? They have to be isolated for treatment. Mm, I get like physical injury with this card. So I don't normally get like
Mm-hmm.
physical injury with the other cards. So this could be someone who's like broken some, right? They need like you break your arm and it goes into a cast, right? It almost has to be like isolated to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe someone who's not giving all of the information or the bigger
Exactly.
picture when
Yeah.
they should be, and it's
Yeah.
hindering them. Mhm. What do you get for health? Anything else?
Yeah, I get that too a little bit. Um, you know, this could be somebody who, you know, let's just go back and say they're the hoarder, right?
Mm,
And
yes.
now, you know, they've been hiding their hoarding for a very, very long time.
Yes.
And it's affecting their health. And, you know, let's just say that they're standing in front of their home, not necessarily asking for help, not necessarily welcoming help, but understanding that they do need help. And in terms of like all kind of facets of health,
Hmm.
mental health, physical health, this is kind of somebody who's worn down.
Yeah.
Like you said, like maybe they've been resisting or ignoring treatment, and now it's kind of like, well, now I need it.
Yeah.
With that stubbornness behind it. Yeah, I get that
True.
100%.
Hmm. Almost like a denial too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anything else for this card?
Um, I get that you can break them down a little bit. Like what I get from this card as well is like when there's like a feral dog,
Mm,
you know what I mean? And it's like the ribs are emaciated and like they really need help.
Yes.
And they won't let you touch them. They won't let you, they'll take the food. They're kind of skittish. Um, but I also can see a little bit of like being able to break that wall down
Yes.
and, a little bit of a welcoming. Like if you look at the staff that he's holding, there is a little bit of a gap between the one on his, I guess, his right shoulder and his left
Mhm.
shoulder. So there is a little bit of like a way in kind of thing, like a way to break in.
Yeah, like the boundary, it's not like a solid fortress.
Right.
Like it's literally these sticks that
Yeah.
someone has put in the ground. So yeah, absolutely could be someone who's like been scarred by previous relationship or
Yeah.
experiences. And they're kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, I know I shouldn't, I have my boundaries up, but I am willing to let the right people in. Or
Right.
yeah, um, in any context, really.
Hmm.
Very much a rest card.
Yeah.
But there is still hope, like because it's like the green in the background, the blue,
Yeah.
there's a
The
clear
blue sky.
sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like any type of in negative influence that would come from this card, um, it would be temporary, or it could be acknowledgement of like, um, look at how take a stop for a minute. I know sometimes like I will go, 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 go. But sometimes it's like pause and like take a look at all the work that you've done, right? So
Hmm.
sometimes you can almost get caught up in the doing of things. And this card offers perspective to pause and actually
Yeah.
like look at everything that you've done. Look at all the work you've put in, all the changes that you're making, right? All the seeds that you've planted, and take a moment to give yourself some grace.
Hmm.
And also to have an awareness like this is a journey. This is the nine. Like we're almost done. We're at that point, like right before completion.
Yeah.
Mhm. All right. And our last card for today is the 10. Let me get this guy up. Oh, the 10. So it's almost as if the person has taken those 8 swords that they had planted and they've picked them all up.
Hmm.
Um, and they are coming back from isolation because the Nine of Wands is very much, there is an isolation component of it. This person has removed themselves. And then now the figure in the 10 is like they've picked everything up and they're coming back. It's very much a card of burden as well, labor, exhaustion, stress, many burdens, determination. And a lot of the times when this card comes back up, or comes up in a reading, there's always this question of like, what are you carrying that's other people's,
Hmm.
right? So the figure in the card, they're also walking blindly. So they have all 10 staffs, but they can't actually see where they're going. But it does look like they're going in the right direction
Hmm.
because they're heading back towards their home. They're heading back towards community. So this person is probably very overwhelmed with a lot of things, but there's this reassurance that like even though you can't see the path forward, like you're heading back to a place of security.
I get the heading home component of it. I didn't really
Mhm.
ever think of like they're walking blindly, but they are.
Mhm.
I feel like there's a little bit of a sense of like they know where home is, they know
Mhm.
where the start is, or like where the comfort or the reassurance is. For me, this
Mhm.
card is like perseverance, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, they've picked all these sticks up, they're heavy, they can't see where they're going, and it's just like keep going, put one foot in
Yeah.
front of the other. You're almost at the finish line. I mean, if this is some sort of Highland Games thing, there could be a finish line nearby.
Mhm. And sometimes there's this little, so that's like a little field beside the house. So
Oh,
sometimes
like crops, like a little
yeah, like
farm.
the
Yeah.
soil's ready, like the soil's been tilled and it's like
Okay.
ready for being seeded or ready to be fertilized. Um, Overall, it's just like a card, like you're at the 10, like this
Yeah.
long journey, um, this interesting journey of the wands, inward and outward. It's like you're almost there,
Yeah.
and very much to keep going. And it's really because fire, it's inspiration, it's creativity. Sometimes creativity can be a burden,
Mm-hmm.
or it's like the physical work that you have to do in order to keep your dreams alive, right? So sometimes that can be um, heavy to carry, or sometimes you might be the only one who sees that vision. So it's like up to you to kind of bring that to fruition, bring that to completion. In career, I would say this is somebody who might be getting ready for promotion,
Mm-hmm.
and they have been stretched to a point that they cannot take anything more on. But that all of the kind of the balls that they're juggling, it's going to pay off because
Mm-hmm.
of like the house that's in the reprieve that comes with home. It's within view too. Um, this could also be somebody who feels like their job is a burden,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of deciding like, do I take this to the end or do I just put this down? Taking the responsibility on of others.
Yeah.
That's what I get for career. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah. I never really thought about, how many of those sticks are other people's sticks?
Mhm.
How many ones are other people's that you're carrying the burden for?
Mhm.
I mean, obviously there's strength in this card.
Mhm.
Um, in terms of career, this is, I kind of think about the spring and um, right now, for the tax preparers, this is like their journey, which is, will end at a in a moment's time. I feel
Mhm.
like this is someone who's put in a lot of effort, a lot of hard work. This could be the completion or nearing the end of a work project. This could be the end of, yeah, like maybe they're fed up with work. Maybe this is. I kind of also get to like when it is like your last week and you are moving on to another job, you kind of just
Yeah.
kind of, it's
Yeah.
kind of like you just kind of
Slapping something.
drop the ball and go back into vacation mode, knowing that there's an end in sight kind of thing. Yeah, for me, this is like a keep going. You're having a struggle right
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
I agree. You're maybe like tapped all your resources too.
yeah.
So when this card comes up in relationships, this can
Hmm.
be read in many different ways. One of them, it can be like, are you carrying things from the past or burdens from the past or cycles from the past
Hmm.
into your new relationship? So kind of like that baggage card. Uh, what can you put down? This could also be somebody who needs to rebalance the domestic duties. Maybe there's one partner who's taken on more so than the other. And there are periods
Hmm.
of times where you have like, that's the benefit of partnership is to be able to step in and to support your partner. But maybe this is now someone who's been supporting their partner, maybe they've taken the other person's maybe taken it for granted now,
Yeah.
and there needs to be like a conversation about redistributing um maybe like domestic duties or
Hmm.
financial responsibility
Hmm.
or emotional responsibility, right? It could be someone who's like bottling up. Oh, I see your kitty.
Yeah, we have a
Um,
visitor.
this could be somebody who's been bottling things up, right? And they're kind of creating their own prison in a way.
Yeah.
And if they're in a relationship, it's like ask for help too.
He's like, "What? I live here rent free?
I know.
We need to rebalance some things here, bud."
Need to renegotiate.
Yeah, renegotiate. In relationships, I get the exact same thing. I also get that it might just be like an exhausting relationship.
Yeah,
Maybe there's mental health issues with your partner, and you're trying to keep the relationship afloat.
yeah,
Hold things together for everyone, not just in your romantic relationship, but maybe in your personal relationships, in your family
yeah,
relationships. Maybe you have been the one carrying the torch, holding everything together. Maybe you are a young adult who's caring for your siblings because parents can't for some reason.
Mhm,
It is definitely a burden card, but again, I really get you're carrying a lot,
mhm,
but you have to either continue or decide to just drop all of the sticks.
or ask for
Mhm.
help. Yeah.
Or ask for help. Yeah.
And health is very similar, right? So this could be there's certain ages, like there's certain, if I think my parents are young, but older generations, they have different perspectives on health, right?
Hmm.
Like sometimes there's people they won't go see a doctor until there's something
Hmm.
that's like so bad that they have to. You're almost like forced to go. Um, or this could be just somebody who needs help and support um, with their health, with their wellness, not feeling inspired, maybe having low energy as well, just because of all of the things that they're managing. To me, it's very much a card of burden, but also a card of like asking for help.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like you don't have to carry the burden alone. Like, why not
No.
share the wealth?
Yeah. And there's
Yeah.
all like in the house, there's like the distance, there's
Yeah.
people there that's not very far. So this could be somebody who might be like self-isolating, or someone who you also have to take responsibility for your health, right? So this could be someone who's like, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm taking responsibility. I've neglected many things for a long time, and it's like this is mine to carry. This is mine to figure out. But there is an element of success.
Hmm.
So, mhm.
Also, just on the vein of health, there are like couples where one is declining and they're in their 80s and one's trying to still take care of the other one, but they're declining.
Yes.
They're missing appointments, who's getting their groceries, if someone gets stuck in bed, like who's helping them in that, there is that sense of responsibility in a long-term relationship, as you get older with your partner, and it just might be that, all of the burden is in front of you and you can't see past it or through it, or, you know, um, yeah, you don't want to put it down. That could also be it as well. You don't want to put it down.
Or maybe even managing it on your own or
Yeah.
within your relationship dynamic, but now it's like we need support. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
we need support, or we need to bring someone else in. Yeah. Anything else?
Also, what
Yeah.
if you're doing the hard work now? What if you're carrying the burden to
Ah,
do something better? There's also that like positive spin, right? Like, what if you're
agree.
taking this to then build a house?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
this is just the hard work leading up to it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Or like you've picked up new health routines, right? And
Yeah.
at first integrating those things can be really difficult. It can feel like a burden, right? If you have to switch your diet around, or if you haven't really
Yeah.
been moving, you're like, you know what, I need to get moving again, or I need to go and like, I don't know, whatever it is. This could be I need I feel maybe a little bit overwhelmed, but I know that this is for my greater good, but it's a
Yeah.
very short-term and temporary influence. So,
I look
yeah.
at this card and I think about people who, never me, who are training for like a marathon or like a triathlon or like something hard.
But like maintaining your day-to-day health these days can be hard.
It can be hard, yeah.
It can like I know nutrition, it seems like such a simple thing. But these days like it can be very complex to navigate, but it's true. People like doing an Ironman or doing like a marathon or something. Yeah. Or they've been in a training program, right? Or even
Hmm.
someone who's been in school and they're like almost at the end of their schooling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Anything else will this card?
No, I think that's about it.
Yeah. Overall, the wands are a very it's a very dynamic suit because
Hmm.
there's these moments of like decision and inspiration and creativity, and then with, creativity and inspiration means action, and then there's success and there's challenge. So I feel like wands of all the suits really gives that day-to-day uh like view of life, because it's like you
Yeah.
can have a good day, you can have a bad day, like,
Yeah.
and that changes like from day to day. um and it's also just to remind, like, these are all seeds that we're planting, because if we're going back to kind of that theme of the springtime, a lot of the time you don't see what is growing, right? Like
Right.
you don't see it for a while. So it could be like all of this work, all of this creative inspiration, it takes a while. So all of these short-term things that you're doing are going to lead to really long-term abundance, success, beauty, whatever it is that you're trying to create.
Hmm.
All right. Any final thoughts on the wands?
Um, I have to say that recently doing readings for people, wands, swords, and pentacles have been coming up for some strange reason.
Taurus
And
season.
is it Taurus season? And not
Mhm.
okay, and not so much water. The cups have not really been entering a whole lot. When I've been doing readings for people, I know that some people I know, they're like, I keep getting cups. And I'm like, I'm not getting them. And I know that maybe it's just the cards
Uh,
I'm dealing aren't really coming up that way. Not to say that it isn't a good thing or a bad thing, but it's
it's
just been this
noticeable.
cycle that I've been
Hmm.
noticing. And currently right now too, a lot of similar cards have been coming up week after week as
Hmm.
well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
As much as our lives are independent, our experiences are very collective,
Yeah.
right? It's always interesting. And I think that's the beauty of reading cards for other people, is you get this kind of insight into what other people are also experiencing. And there
Yeah.
are periods of time where collectively, like, people in the community are experiencing similar things, but it might be like a
Yes.
different expression or experience, but the theme
Right.
is very similar. So,
Yeah, like when you pull cards for somebody, you're like, I got these exact same cards. Is this my
oh yeah.
reading or your reading? And they're like, no, it's my reading. And you're like, okay, just all right, just
Or I'm always like, don't worry, I'm going through it too. So
yeah.
sometimes there's some peace in knowing that you're not alone in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, but yeah. So that's the wands, ace through 10. Thanks, Jay, for sitting and chatting.
Thank you very
Like,
much.
comment, subscribe to stay up to date on all of our videos. You can check out the other tarot chats. That's it. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next
Bye.
time. Bye.